Hi everybody and welcome back to Exotics of the World TV. Now in this episode, I'm going to answer some of the questions that you've asked me on our social media platforms. So also we have my very good friend, my rotten soldier, my good time boy, Liam Sinclair from Reptiles and Research to help us out with this. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So to be fair, I feel the first question that we need to answer from Tiff Lancer is who is your favourite / least favourite reptile YouTuber and who would you like to collab with? So Liam, I'll shoot out to you first. Who's your favourite reptile YouTuber?
I'm thinking.
Because you know what? Like just while you're thinking, like since I've started obviously doing YouTube, I don't really watch that much YouTube content anymore. Really? Do you know what I mean? Do you find that?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I like to watch to see what other people are up to, sort of thing. Um, but there's no one that I really watch as a viewer anymore. I kind of watch as a creator and like watching how they edit and what their ideas are, and like I can almost see their decision making behind things. So I'm
Mm.
watching through this different lens, and I don't really just blindly just watch and enjoy content anymore from reptile creators. Like I do in other niches,
Yeah.
and I just switch off and enjoy it, but not necessarily reptiles. Really struggling to come up with an answer.
Yeah, I'm quite sure. I mean, to be fair, I still obviously watch Dylan's podcast every now and again. If there's a guest on that I like, or I'm like, oh, that's quite cool. I'll definitely watch it. But yeah, I mean, and as well, obviously, I watch like yours and Cedric's to support friends. Like,
Broskies. No, yeah,
yeah,
I'd say animals at home. I think that's a good answer because it's so
yeah.
variable as well. Like even if you skip 4 episodes and there's one you like and there's one you don't, and there's four you do like the variability makes it, I think, the thing that I actually consume as a viewer and not as another creator.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, I mean, in terms of like learning new things and stuff, I think Dylan's is pretty good for that. Because it puts like potential different perspectives on things. But yeah, have you got worse ones straight away? Because I have.
Uh, my worst channel is Nerd.
Worst channel's nerd. I would I mean I'm not a massive fan of obviously the channel. I think there's a lot of channels that I'm not massive fans of, but one like channel that I just cannot stand, and that is Jay Brewer's Prehistoric Pets. I just can't stand it. Like especially like when it comes up on like Facebook and there's them like just like antagonizing this alligator and like the welfare is like really bad and like as someone that keeps reptiles, you're just like there cringing because you're just pointing it out. You're like, oh god, this is not good. But the thing is, like, I think those types of channels, like Jay's and stuff, I think they're kind of made for. They're not made for us. They're not made for the like the reptile audience. I think they're made for people that aren't really into it, or maybe just keep a couple of reptiles and aren't super invested. Because there's a lot of like entertainment factor, isn't there? Like with it all.
It's general audience. It's not like the reptile niche per se.
Yeah. And then what was there was a yeah, there was another part wasn't there? Who would you like to collab with?
Apart from Exotic of the World TV, because I think I've checked that one off
Yeah. Me too.
somehow. Um, Cedric. I still want us to collab. I've not even collabed with Cedric yet, really.
Yeah.
Apart from being on the same call with him on your channel,
Yeah.
like me and Cedric haven't really collabed yet. In terms of like outside of like that, yeah, I'd say Chief Switch Universe.
Yeah, I would if I'm discounting. I mean, because obviously I've done yours, I've done Dylan's. Cedric's been on obviously mine. I'd probably do something with our setters to be quite fair. Like I said, I don't think there's that many other content creators that I'm aware of that I probably would like to collab with and like move across like brand wise. I think quite a lot of like reptile brands on YouTube don't really fit like my ethos and ethics. So it kind of be going against like myself. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
And like you'd have a low transference of audience as well because the audience is so the content is so different that the audience won't really enjoy it that much.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I quite like that question, to be quite fair. Quite like that question. So we've got one from John T. What is your favourite reptile to keep? Now, obviously, you, Liam, have recently got some different kinds of bits and bobs. And I've got a feeling I know what your favourite reptile is to keep, and I think people might be a little bit shocked, and I'm gonna try and guess it. In fact, have you got a pen to hand?
Can do.
Right, write it on a piece of paper or on the back of your hand, and then I want to see if I'm correct.
Go with. Let me get a piece of paper.
Let me know when you've done it.
Look, I'm on some TV show.
On a panel show. And don't mug me off. Don't you dare mug me off with this. Because I've genuinely got a feeling I know what it is, what your favourite at the minute is for you to keep.
I've written like a 3-year-old, but right, I'm ready.
Right. I think your favourite reptile that you like to keep currently at the minute in your collection is a leopard gecko. Is a leopard gecko? I called it. Do you know why? Do you know why? Right? Because every time I call you, you have not shut up about that bloody leopard gecko.
I love my leopard gecko. Honestly, there's like reptiles and then my leopard gecko, and I'm like the level of cuteness, like leopard gecko is up there with like the dog and like kittens and stuff. It's not like the regular reptile. Like I don't get cuteness aggression from the bearded dragon or the snakes, but I'm like look at the little leopard gecko and I'm like so cute. Yeah, I think Leos are really, really special, and I've only just realised.
Leos are great. I've always loved leopard geckos. They're absolutely like fantastic. And considering as well, like you've now obviously extended your collection out, and you've got different stuff as well. Like not just kind of like the bread and butter stuff that we typically see like day to day. Obviously, you've got those.
Shikari sand snakes, I bet.
That's it. You got the shikaris, which I should know that because like back in the day, I used to listen to Enter Shikari all the time. And obviously other like pythons and stuff and whatnot you've got now, haven't you? So
But you know what?
what?
If I have to downsize, they're the first to go.
What the shikari? How come?
Yeah, it's just like, although it was all bread and butter, I'm like, there's a reason it's bread and butter because it's good. Like the leopard gecko's cute. Bearded dragon is like a dog in like a lizard body. I'd always love the MBKs because they're like that's just amazing.
Mm.
I mean, I think in terms of what would be first to go, it'd be Shikaris and then the spotted pythons. Yeah, I just think that they're I'm not really impressed with them. I was like, oh, they're gonna be amazing because they're refined and they're fast and they're this and that and all this stuff. They're so difficult to keep and all. And I'm like, I prefer the leopard gecko. Honestly, the leopard gecko so much more fun.
Yeah, I think it's like enjoyment factor. Like as soon as you start moving out of like your bread and butter stuff and you go into these different kind of like obscure kind of species and stuff. Like I think the only thing a lot of these animals have got going for them is the fact that they are obscure. Like and that's it and you're not really seen. So like the rarity is kind of like held up to like enjoyment factor, if that makes sense.
hmm
I get
I
it.
think there's two things to reptile keeping. There is cool factor and then there's cute factor. And it reminds me of like, did you ever play like Pokemon Pearl and stuff and like Gen 4? And you would go to and you would do like the competitions and stuff on the little DS game, and it was like either a move was cool or it was cute. And that's how I like see it as reptiles as well. Like Shikari are definitely like cool.
Mm.
Bearded Dragon's cool. Leopard Gecko's really cute. And same with MBK is cool. And I think it's the first thing that I've got. I'm like, it's really, really cute. And I think that's probably why it stands out to me so much because my entire collection is built around cool. And now I've got something that's cute. I'm like, wow, it's so different.
Yeah, I would say you've not really had any. I think baby bearded dragons are cute, but obviously you've got that. You've only really got like cuteness factor for, like actual like subjective cuteness factor, for obviously like 9 months or so, and then it's kind of like what, but you know, but but yeah, I mean, for me, like my favorite reptile to keep, um If we're doing currently, I would probably say my tegus are probably my favourite ones to keep. I love my tegus. I love them so much. They're just absolutely great. So lovable. Like you actually call them. I mean, obviously they'll have like noise association, so they don't, it's not like they understand their name and they're coming. But like you call their name, and obviously like they'll come. Well, Mr. Bags does. Nunu's still kind of learning a bit, But yeah, I would say definitely tegus. And then in the past, I think by far, like my favorite snake species that I've kept is definitely my false water cobras. I loved my false water cobras. They're just great snakes. Super active. They're always doing something like in their enclosure. And yeah, I think the downside with them though is obviously the enclosure size, and like realistically, would I have it now? Probably not. Knowing what I know now, but yeah, for me, definitely tegus and falsies for me. They're me babies.
You always seem to go on about the tegus, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think as well. I mean, I thought it was just the fact that like with Mr. Bags, because he was old, he had this like special place in my heart. But like Nunu's not old. Nunu's only like 3-4 years old, and like she's getting there as well. She's definitely warming on me. I mean, I prefer obviously Mr. Bags because I've had him for the longest, and obviously he's like a 20-odd-year-old lizard, But like, yeah, Mr. Bags is great. Absolutely great. Moving on to our next question from Emily Clarence. So this one is definitely aimed at me. I mean, you might be able to answer this, Liam, to be quite fair. Maybe or maybe not. But do all of your staff speak Spanish, Ash? Or is it just you, lol? And why do you speak Spanish? so, so it's a very pointy question. Liam, I'll let you answer that one first. Why do you think I speak Spanish?
Make him interesting.
Yeah, because I've got nothing else going for me. Like my personality is beard, reptiles, and Spanish. Like that's it. three things to summon me in a circle. If I died, it would be Spanish, reptiles, and beard. But yeah, no. I mean, it's quite a boring answer to be quite fair. I like the language. I've always had like an affinity with speaking Spanish. I've always wanted to learn it properly. And then yeah, and no, there none. Well, I think Sarah can speak a little bit of Spanish. I think, but I think it just annoys everybody else. But I don't care. I just like bark orders at them in Spanish. So, or like when I answer the phone to you, I'd be like, obviously in Spanish. I'm not going to do it now because I'm showing myself
I'll
off.
just
But
ignore you now. I'll be on the phone and I'm like, I can hear him just start speaking Spanish at me, and I just sit and wait for it to end. And I'm like, you ready now?
But to be quite fair, like especially like the staff and some of my close friends, like they have picked up on it, like what I'm asking for. So I'm like teaching Spanish by osmosis, I suppose. But yeah, so no, not all of my staff speak Spanish, and the reason why I speak Spanish is because I like Spanish and I like to speak Spanish. It calms my brain down as well, actually. To be fair, like the better at Spanish I've got, and the quicker I can speak it, like I don't stutter and stammer as much because I like just then I do stutter and stammer, and it's because my brain. But yeah, it's literally because my brain's like going crazy. But yeah, right then. So you'll be able to answer this one, Liam, because obviously you also worked in a reptile shop. All right. So what's one thing that customers do that really annoy you?
Um, just don't realize how rude they are. They'll be like, "Oh, can you help me with this?" And you'll spend like half an hour with them, and they'll be like, "Oh, I can get it cheaper online, I bet." And I'm like, "Maybe? Okay. What am I supposed to say to that? What are you supposed to say to that? It's just really rude."
Yeah.
You can just
Yeah,
go
yeah.
outside and Google it and just slink away. Don't just be like, get on cheaper online though, isn't it?
I get that. I think that's probably one of like the it is just rude. I think that's probably one of the most frustrating things really for us is when like customers like do that. Although it's not like the thing that like annoys me the most. It's not the thing that annoys me the most. I think for me is when and to be fair, they're not even really customers to be fair, but when people like come in like just for a look and stuff and they've got like sticky kids. Like, do you know what I mean by sticky kids? Like kids like where their hands are just like always sticky and they always come in like after school or whatever like that and they'll just like smear their sticky hands all over the glass and I'm like, oh god, it really really frustrates me, I would say. And obviously rudeness, that was probably like a thing. To be fair, there's loads of things thinking about it, there's loads of things that actually really annoy me.
There's a lot of things that about people that annoy me. Yeah.
I'm more like reptile shop kind of like centric thing. Like another thing as well, like is again very similar. Like when you've spent like a lot of time with somebody and they think they know more because they've done it on like they've gone on like a Facebook forum or something like that, and that Facebook forum has told them that all shops don't know what they're talking about, etc., etc., and they kind of like talk down to you a little bit, and it's kind of like, well, okay, it might work for some shops, but not here, buddy.
One of the things that annoys me is when someone's like got a picture of their snake and there's no sense of scale, and they're like, how much do I feed it? Or they'll be like, what did I buy last time? And I'm like, I don't know you. Why would I know what you bought last time?
I get that. I think some people just like generally don't know, but like I think the first couple of times, like I'll allow it. But like if it's like a constant thing, like bang, 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 then I would say it gets a little bit frustrating. Like again, like, well, what do I buy? It's like, well, like without sound. Like, the thing is, like, because you don't want to sound rude either. Like when you're in that situation, you're serving that customer. You don't. You want to say, look, I can't remember. I've served like hundreds of people since you, like when you were last in. Like, I genuinely cannot remember this. Like, I am sorry. But obviously, you can't say that because that comes across like quite rude. So you just kind of have to like weirdly like play and dance like round like the question and stuff. It's like, oh, I don't know. Does this look like it? Oh no. But yeah.
I just say I don't know.
What? Just deadpan?
Why would I know what you bought last?
You see, my decent inner customer service brain is just kind of like, right, let's see if we can work this out. And you're there like, can't help you, soz. Computer says no.
Can you imagine if I went to Pets Own like, what dog food did I buy last? They'll be like, who are you?
That does happen though. That genuinely that does happen.
Well,
Anyway, I
honestly,
think I've sufficiently answered that question.
I think you have sufficiently answered that question.
I'm starting to get annoyed
well,
while talking about what annoys me.
Right, so this one, I mean, you could probably jump in on this one actually. This is from Liam Connington. Sorry, Liam. If I was to open a reptile shop, what advice would you give? And what cost should I be looking at? Honestly, Liam, don't do it. No, joking. Like from, I mean, do you want to attack it from an animal welfare perspective, Sinclair, and I'll attack it from a business perspective? Because the thing is, we've obviously spoken about this very same topic quite a lot since obviously we've been friends and whatnot. So you probably get like a good idea potentially.
I would do things all based on maths. That's what I would do. I would work out how much
very.
it costs to feed, water, and heat, and basically how much it costs to look after an animal per day. Then how much you paid for it, what the RRP is going to be, and then you can work out by what date it needs to sell by, at what price to make that profit margin. Or you can do the maths to then work out. Basically, you give it a sell by date when it needs to be gone by, or it's eaten through its profit margin. So you can compare it at different price points. If you actually were slightly lower, maybe it sells sooner, and actually rather than 40 quid profit because it was there longer, you made 55 quid profit. So actually you made more profit by being cheaper. And these are all things you need to figure out by collecting data over the long run. And then you can look at averages and then you can make sensible decisions based on data. But a lot of shops don't collect data and it's all made decisions are made based on feelings rather than like just data. And I would also factor that into what I'd stock. And I've done the maths before because I made a video literally about this topic. Like perfect examples of crocodile monitor. The maths doesn't make sense. There is no world where I would ever even stock a crocodile monitor because I'm not even talking about welfare. Welfare doesn't exist, and it's literally all potatoes we're selling. Mathematically, it doesn't make sense to stock a croc monitor. So why would you? When you can sell 10 bit of dragons in the interim that make up the same profit margin without the danger to staff and blah 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 blah, blah. Do maths is what I would say.
Do maths, do better. Yeah, like 100% definitely. I was going to kind of go on to definitely pick your species. 100%. I mean, um, th- like you said earlier, like bread and butter items are bread and butter for a reason. Like, you know, um, and it served me quite well. Like just primary. I mean, obviously we have like the few different bits and bobs in that are manageable, you know. But again, like there's no way like even if we had the space, like there's no way I'd stock a crocodile monitor like at all. Like you said, like maths, it doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. Another thing that I would probably say would be like don't renege on your morals, and like if you set a standard and you set a precedent in that area, like everyone else will follow. Like I've said it before. I've said it on other like I've said it. I swear I've said it on Dylan's podcast and whatnot. I'm pretty sure yours as well. To be honest, um, like as soon as you start like bending over for like bargain billies and stuff, like everyone will then like expect that. And because that's a thing, animal welfare is then impacted, and you're not striving for a better standard. Like, I think everyone needs to strive for a better standard, in my personal opinion. Like, there are places like in the UK that have got really poor standards of welfare. I think in like Grimsby and the surrounding areas, for the most part, because of us. Like I'd say very big head time. But like I would say because of us, like these animals are going out in like decently minimum sized enclosures. Customers are going out with the knowledge on how to make decent enrichment for them, etc., etc. Um, and as well, like know your stuff. Like I'd probably say because quite a lot of people don't. Like a lot of people will just go out and like, oh, this looks fun. Like, I'm going to make loads of money. If you want to make loads of money, don't open a reptile shop. Trust me, don't do it because you won't. Like, like it's fun, and I've met some absolutely phenomenal and some fantastic people. Obviously, like through it and stuff, sharing an interest and whatnot. And it's become more so nowadays, especially a bit like a community hub and a community center for people that keep reptiles and stuff. And yeah, I would say that. Look at your finances as well. Finances is a really, really big one. I mean, the cost of electricity is absolutely ridiculous at the moment. Look at your rent. Look, is it feasible? I'd also as well look if say you're okay for that. You've got enough money for this. You've got all your stock, etc., etc. Now you're looking for a premises, and you're about to sign on the dotted line. What I would do is look through your lease very, 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 very carefully. Look at the break clauses as well. So, obviously, we've spoken about the kind of like welfare and that kind of thing, but now is the really important bit. If it doesn't work out, you need to have break clauses within your lease because otherwise, you're gonna even if the shop doesn't work out, you're still gonna have to pay that rent irregardless. So let's say if you've taken a 5 year lease out, I personally would do a break clause at like 18 months, then 3 years, then obviously you can renew the contract in 5. So you've not got that long to wait in between in case it doesn't work out. I'd say that's a quite valuable, vital piece of information that is often quite overlooked, and I don't think I've mentioned that before either.
I would also use data loggers to record temperatures and things like that. Because who's got the time to actually go around taking that for the AEL? So you need to automate what, because time is money. So basically, all the time that you're paying a staff member to go around and do benign tasks just for the AEL, you could have invested into a device that would do it for you, and that staff member can actually be doing what they're there to do, which is sales and look after the animals. Things like the
Yeah.
Evo stats can do that because they're a product showcase, and it's something of a sales tactic in itself, and it's doing the data logging for your licensing.
Yeah, we use Evos on all of our stuff. Like you said, it does it all. Yeah, automation like is definitely key. If you can save yourself like even just a little bit of time, like for example, let's say it took you, I'd say this is a bit of a conservative estimate, but let's say 10 seconds to go in an enclosure and measure the temperature accurately. Say 10 seconds. Like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. In fact, I can just count it because it's the numbers there. So in total, just in this section that we're in at the minute, not including invertebrates, all the tortoise tables, they're separate. But just actual vivs, we've got 60. So, you know, and if you can stop that, like that 10 seconds each time you're going round, like, you know, it doesn't sound a lot, but over weeks and years and stuff, it does all add up, definitely. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good question, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good question. So, moving on to our next question from Andrew Shamins. So, do you find it easy striking a work-life balance with the shop and all the other projects you have, like rescue, rehome, YouTube, etc.? No. Next question, no joke. No, I mean, how obviously when you were doing YouTube, Liam, you also had like job, etc., etc. So you could probably like get this as well. Like personally, to me, I've noticed like YouTube takes up a lot of time. So, did you find it easy striking a work-life balance?
Um, I didn't have a work-life balance. I was just a workaholic. So no is the answer. I would work at a shop 3 days a week. On the days off where I got back, I would commute an hour and a half home, and then by the time I got home, I was gassed for that night, and I didn't do anything. And on the days in between, I would sit down at 8 a.m. at the computer, and then probably go to bed at like midnight, and I would have been working on stuff the entire day straight. And I did that every day, apart from the days where I'd go see my girlfriend, which was like 2 days a week. So I would take like a weekend off technically, I suppose. Um, but no, I didn't have a work-life balance. It's sit down at the computer all day long, chip away at it, and then go to the shop. So the answer is no. The answer is no.
I think I'd probably have to agree. I mean, like, my YouTube channel took a massive hit, like October, November, December, because like for us, obviously with it being Christmas, like in here, like I was literally working 7 days a week. Like I had like no time, you know. So like yeah, like I do find it difficult to strike a work life balance with every like here, like with everything we've got going on. I mean, there's always plans, there's always something. And I'm surprised actually I've done in a sense as well as I have done with the channel. Or things like consider. I mean, there's obviously external factors as well, like, you know, that aren't really to do with either the shop or YouTube. Like things happen in life, you know. But I feel personally though, I feel like the minute now I've said to myself, no, look, like this is a job essentially. Like this is a part of the job. So I like split it up a little bit, if that makes sense. So like now what I'll do like bulk content. So I'll film like 4 videos in one night, and then I've got like 4 videos to like chew on, digest, etc., etc. While I'm obviously doing other bits and bobs, and as well maintaining a social life. You know, going all up and down like the UK, like seeing like my friends and stuff. So, you know, obviously, like, for example, like when I'll probably make my trip to come see you guys in the summer, you know, constantly here, there, and everywhere. So, I'd say it's difficult trying to find like a decent work life balance like between the two. Very, very difficult. But if you can, I suppose you can't. No, actually,
You
no,
can't.
no. I'm sorry, Andrew. I do. What was the actual question? Do you find it easy striking a work-life balance? No, I don't find it easy striking a work-life balance with everything I've got going on currently.
I personally don't think it's possible. No, I think unless you're the obsessive type, you're not the person that's going to rise to the top. The people that make it to the top got there because of the obsessive nature in which they got there. And
Yeah,
I don't think you get there by being casual about it.
yeah. Like I found like as soon as like now I've started posting like more regular, like at least like maybe once or twice a week. Like I've noticed like the views are going up, the algorithm's changing. In may the odds further be in your favor, and all of that. So so yeah, I think trying to maintain that consistency as well, and as well like pre planning. Like when I go on holiday, I know for a fact that I'm not going to have obviously time for the time I'm actually on holiday. You know, although I've got some stuff planned recording for while I'm out there, which hopefully, if it comes off, it should be quite cool. But yeah, like no, it's not easy to strike a decent work life balance. Something always gives something all the time, all the time.
Well, when you think about YouTube, everyone's like, oh yeah, they just upload videos. Oh, that's lovely. But it's actually like five jobs in one. Each component of being a YouTuber is an individual job in like a traditional industry, right? So audio engineer is a job, cameraman is a job, video editor is a job, on-screen talent, if you want to call it on-screen talent, but you get the point. The person, the actor, I guess, is a job. And then social media itself is a job. And well, up to five now. So you're doing five people's job in one, and then you have another job at the shop. Like you really have to be obsessive if it's going to work.
I think I am quite obsessive. If I want something, I'll go and do it. To be fair, like apart from well, to be fair, even like stopping smoking. To be quite fair, like that was like a thing. Like for me, you know, it was kind of like I bet you can't. I was like, well, let me show you then, shall I? You know, exactly the same. Like in a sense, like with the shop. Like I'm not sure if I think I probably have spoken to you about it, but there was obviously things surrounding like me starting the shop up. It was very much a well, you then. I'll go ahead and do it.
Actually, did a swear telling Joanne.
But yeah, so I agree. Like I think video editing, like initially, obviously, when I first started speaking to you, and well, when you were hammering me about you need to start a YouTube channel, etc., etc., and then obviously one thing and another, and we're here now. But like, yeah, like I didn't realize how time consuming the whole process actually is, like setting up, etc., etc. Like now it's got to the point where like instead of like recording after hours because I'll be too knackered because the day's been ridiculous, I'll like come in at like maybe like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, record a couple of videos, and then I've still got the rest of the work day to focus on. Because like what like working in retail essentially like is hard, like you know, like and working with retail when you've got to make sure living things don't die, kept in the best possible conditions it possibly can be, is also like another factor on top of that. But yeah, just about that grind, mate, isn't it?
I think you'll figure it out.
Yeah,
I haven't figured it out yet, but we'll figure it out.
at some point when we're like millionaires and we're like, you know, living our below deck fantasy, you know, just
Below deck fantasy.
You know what I mean? Like, imagine it, just like going on like a super yacht, like with all this like mystery YouTube money, you know, and like just tipping somebody or tipping the crew. Like, What's the tip they usually get? Like anywhere from like $15,000 to $20,000.
20 grand.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to do that just to say that I've done it. Like,
I wouldn't.
would you not?
Why would I tip 20 grand? That's stupid.
Yeah, I mean those people work very hard.
You have to get a wage.
Yeah, but still, like, have you seen
Yes,
have you seen Below Deck? Yeah, like the stuff they have to put up with from in a sense customers, like ridiculous. Like there's
Don't be that dick of a customer. I'd rather not be a dick than pay 20 grand for the privilege of being a dick. Anyway, what's the next question?
so next question is from James Rushton. What materials are safe to use for invert/reptiles, i.e., paints, sealers, etc., etc.?
100% silicon. CT1. That wasn't planned. CT1. You can use CT1. I would just stick to those two, really.
Yeah, I think any like marine safe silicon is going to be fine to essentially use like with like your reptiles and stuff. Should be absolutely fine. In terms of paints, I'm not gonna lie, I'm unsure on what paints are safe because there's always kind of like when people post them in the group, like, well, I use this paint, and it's like that will kill your frogs, and no one can really agree on that. So I don't want to make a sweeping statement like this paint is safe, unless it's like
But at the very least, you want to pick a paint that's VOC free.
yes, yeah. Yeah, or unless it's got like a picture of a lizard on it, and then you'll be fine. And we pay through the nose for it, like, but you know, it'll be absolutely fine. So yeah, paints and seal. Yeah, for paints and sealers, I would probably say those. Stick to like the easy ones. If it's safe for marine, it's going to be safe, obviously, to use for your reptiles and inverts. So moving on. So we've got Benji Toms next, Liam. So Benji's been very cheeky and has asked 2 questions. So should we do the 2 questions or should we just do one?
Is it what's your account number in CVC?
There is a pigeon in your bank account.
Let's just fly from the hip.
Okay, so currently on Morph Market, this is from Benji Toms. So currently on Morph Market, there's 70 bearded dragons, 90 leopard geckos, and over 4,000 ball pythons. Do you think that maybe the reason behind this isn't necessarily overbreeding, but maybe because the beardies and Leos are more popular for a first-time pet? And this contribution of sales helps keep the market from flooding.
I think it's just the sheer fact that production of ball pythons way outnumbers the others because you've got production for sale in a raptor shop, you've got production for pets for wholesale, and then you've got the whole entire industry of the morph side of ball pythons that was a massive thing. And you didn't really have that for bearded dragons. When you were going to breed for an expensive morph for bearded dragon, it was still for someone who wants that expensive pet. That really high red bearded dragon was still going to go to a pet home, or at least another breeder who wants it for their line, who's going to start coming down to produce pet animals. It was never this like B2B thing in my mind, like the Royals were. I think it's just the sheer numbers that have been produced is why there's a surplus. And then because the market has bottomed out and the value's dropped, that B2B thing of like to make money, as soon as of the potential to make money isn't there, the animal for B2B is worthless. And then the production of that's been done for B2B is way more than is needed just to go into pets. So then suddenly the supply vastly outweighs the demand, and I think now we're in a situation where that's going to take a while to fix.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's a case that leopard geckos and beardies are more popular. I would say it is the ball python industry in general. And I think it's the ethos. I think it's the ethos behind it as well. Like, quick cash grab to make money. And people can say that it's not, but we all know it is. A lot of people do feel that way, and that is a big driver of why people do it. Of course, you're going to get people that want to do it because they want to feel like John Hammond and play around with genetics, or like the species and stuff, so they want to obviously like produce and breed. But whenever obviously people come in the shop and they talk about breeding like royal pythons, ball pythons and stuff, I always have, don't bother. Like, breed something else. If you want to, like, even if you're doing it for like the cold hard fact that you want to make money, right? You're gonna make more money breeding other animals than you are like royal pythons. Like, for example, like, we've not bred, this will be the 5th year on the bounce now that we've not bred our royal pythons, because we've still got so many that are in on rehome and rescue, so like, consciously I can't add to that problem. And the fact of the matter is, like, in a sense, like, with all like rescues and rehomes that we do, like, they're free when purchased before setup, and they're only 50 quid anyway, so it's not like they're breaking the bank in terms of that, and we've still got them. They're one of the hardest animals in the shop that we have to shift, and it shouldn't be like that, because raw pythons are, in my opinion, are pretty good snakes.
Yeah. At the same time, you don't want everyone to stop breeding, because what's going to happen is you're going to have a load of low quality animals, be that's all that's left, and no one actually continued breeding for quality.
Yeah, yeah. I was literally after I was gonna I was gonna bring that up, to be fair, but again, like, the reason why I was gonna bring it up is because, so who do you tell to breed and who do you tell not to? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, Dave's doing it over there. Why can't I do it?
Well, it's going to be based on economics in my mind. So the person that wants to breed for quality, and what that means is not just, oh, they're in a Viv and they're not in a rack, so therefore they're quality. It's selection for traits and like looking to see where the line's going to be in X amount of years down the line. For example, I've got a really cold tolerant royal python. She goes down to 10 degrees every night in the winter and still feeds like a pig and has all these behavioral traits that are the ideal bull python. Realistically, I should be looking to capture those characteristics and proliferate them, and then work on this line of royals that are really are quality. I just I'm just not really that fussed about it. But it would be the people that are like, I've got this vision of, I want to do that because I want to produce that line, and then aren't actually selling. They're just either a culling or freezing the amount of eggs, or they're still holding back, and they're not really doing it for money. They're doing it for produce quality, and let's see where we are, where my line's going to be in 10 years' time. If you've got two random royals that you have no idea of the quality of, you have no idea what underlying deleterious recessive alleles they've got, then just shoving two random rescue ball pythons together, it doesn't produce quality. So I wouldn't bother. And then the money for you to do that isn't there. So the only reason that someone's going to continue to do and be those quality breeders are because it's not for money, and they're doing it because they want to do it, because they've got this long-term goal for quality. I mean, how many people do a back cross just to see what deleterious recessive alleles they can get to bubble to the surface? They don't. The only time they
How
do
many
a back
people know
cross
what
is
that
because they want to
crosses?
get a fucking morph out, not because they want to see what health problems they can get to bubble to the surface to cut it out. Yeah, I got distracted, but I think I answered the question.
He definitely did. Yeah, we side quested a little bit, but yeah, like, I don't think it's the fact that beard is, and, well, to be fair, would you, maybe, actually, maybe bearded dragons are, leopard geckos are more popular, but then again, like, if they are more popular, then surely by the same metrics as the royal python, we should be seeing more leopard geckos and bearded dragons in rescue and rehome centres than we currently do. That makes sense. Like, if you take away like the statistics from me from last year in terms of rescues, like last year, us rescuing leopard geckos was, I would say, anomalous data, because we went to and rescued from I think 4 or 5 like leopard gecko, like local leopard gecko breeders. So on an average, like in terms of like pet keepers and stuff, like we don't really get that many, if that makes sense.
Yeah, things will figure it out. What's going to happen is it's just cyclical, right? So everyone's going to stop. I say everyone. A lot of people are going to stop breeding royals because the market's bottomed out and not worth any money, right? So they've cashed out. There's a huge amount of surplus that's going into rescues, and then eventually demand is going to be there for the people that want pets, and they're going to go, okay, well, why would I buy a ball python when I can get it as a rehome for free? So the demand will start to absorb that excess supply of rehomes until eventually um, the price of a ball python starts to come up again because of that.
So same exactly what happened with beardies, with the Incubate 2 campaign. I mean, bearded dragons, like at one point, like back in like the mid noughties, like mid to late noughties, I would say, like you couldn't get rid of bearded dragons for free, like because they were that overly bred, you know. And like now, realistically, most shops sell like a wild type standard bearded dragon for anywhere from like 90 to 120 quid. That's the average in the UK that people sell them for. Like, I mean, I think it's good because it keeps them out of the hands of the people that have got like ulterior motives like behind it. And it does, you know. I mean, realistically, like I've not seen the bearded dragon population spike as much as it did way back when, you know. So yeah, I agree. I think the problem will sort itself out eventually. It's just a long time coming. I think this problem's been ongoing for years and years and years and years and years now, you know. Like I would arguably say for the past like 10 years, like this issue's been creeping up and creeping up.
But it goes through a bubble and it bursts, and then it goes through this lull and then it stabilizes and it finds its final like stabilized price, right? Because it happened with corn snakes, and you look at the price of the corn snake morphs and stuff. The price of corn snakes is literally like this, right? Pretty predictable, pretty standard, pretty solid. The price of leopard geckos is pretty much solid, predictable, pretty standard, right? And eventually, I think ball pythons will find that price point where it's like stable because they go for a bubble, they burst, and then they find their final price point, their final resting place. Do you know what I mean? And I think we've seen it happen before with the corns, with the leopard geckos, and I think it's going to happen again. But the difference being the lifespan of a royal is so much longer than a leopard gecko or a bearded dragon.
Right then. So Benji's next question. This one it says might be a bit controversial. So, should alligator snapping turtles require the same paperwork as an actual alligator? Is there maybe popular animals we currently have in the hobby that might actually be contributing to the negative outlook on the hobby? E.g., retics, snapping turtles, Asia water monitors. They're not. They're just not suitable for most modern homes in the UK today. I think Benji's got it out for snapping turtles there. Twice he mentioned them.
But the whole point, you mean like DWA, right?
Yeah. So I think the first part of the question, should snapping turtles basically be on the DWA?
No,
Okay. Why?
because the whole point in the DWA is that it's to do with like if it gets out, it's a danger to the public or it's going to kill someone, right?
Right.
So the alligator snapping turtles are largely bound by water, right? I say largely intentionally. So if it escapes, it's going to take a while to get anywhere. Secondly, it's not something that I think is going to kill someone. And I think that you have to be really, really silly to be caught by a snapping turtle. It's not like it's like a huge like snake or something venomous where it's like one mistake and you're dead. It's like just walk away from it.
What if it had like the speed that like Chinese soft shells do, and that like really quick like neck motion, and like really imagine that. Imagine like a big beefy snapping turtle, but had like the physics of a of a soft shell. That would be frightening.
It reminds me of that meme where it's like you live forever, but like there's a snail that's hunting you, and if the snail ever like touches you, you die. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think snapping turtles should be DWA. Do I think most people should keep them? I think if you have the ability to go for it, but I don't think that they're going to be common for the fact that most people don't want it, and it's a silly purchase for most people.
100%. So the second part is there maybe popular species we currently have in the hobby that might actually be contributing to the negative outlook? And then obviously he gives examples of reticulated pythons, snapping turtles again, and Asian water monitors. So, like, I mean, for me personally, like, as much as I disagree with the availability of big snakes to the general public, I definitely disagree with it. Um, is that contributing to the negative outlook on the hobby? I would, uh, I would probably say no.
I don't think so. I
I
rarely ever see retics be mentioned by anti-keeping in general. It's just keeping reptiles, full
Yeah,
stop. And typically the studies they do are on like leopard geckos and things like that. It's not on a retic.
exactly. I mean, I think potentially holistically, like retics, big snakes, and stuff like that. Obviously, I think they are a problem. I would say if you're gonna come down from that, I would say even like common boas are more of a problem. I mean, you just got to look at the NCRW inundated with them, like so many.
I think the issue is the price point. I think if a retic was like 5 grand, like you can imagine it would be,
Yeah,
then I think that you wouldn't really have all these problems of availability and they're going to the wrong hands and stuff because it's like one, if you can afford it, you probably can afford the enclosure that you're going to build this nice naturalistic thing for 5 grand. And two, most people that would be silly with it aren't going to throw away 5 grand. The price of a car on something so like frivolous. So when they're like 50 quid that you make people get silly decisions.
yeah, 100%. I mean, like we had it in 2024 when, and in the summertime when someone was like the bread that burns and the retics, and they were not only like lying about like size and stuff like that, but like they were also like selling them for like between like 30 and like 50 quid. I think like just to jump on the point of like price point and stuff, I think you are right. Like when people come in like in the store that has never kept snakes or anything like that before, you tell them the price, like, oh well, it's like I don't know, like anywhere from like 100, like 50 quid, 100 quid, whatever. They're like, oh my God, like that's so cheap. And it's like, they don't have this like conception that people within the hobby have, like where it's a race to the bottom, cheap, 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 cheap. They think these animals are naturally expensive. So, and then when
Well,
they find
before
out,
I knew anything about reptiles, I assumed that you had to have some sort of license to keep reptiles. Because when I was younger, I always used to walk into Southampton Reptiles as a kid and be like, oh, one day I'm going to get a bearded dragon. But I always assumed you had to have some sort of license to keep reptiles. And then like, as I was older, I was like, and like, when I started asking seriously, because I had like expendable income and I had a job and stuff, I was like, so what's the license situation then? They were like, what are you on about? And I'm like, what? And then they told me that I didn't need a license, and I was just like,
yeah,
so I think that in combination of like the price and stuff, it's crazy.
it is. Yeah, it is. But yeah, I don't think. Sorry, Benji, to disagree. I don't think the species you've mentioned are like a big, unless I've misunderstood your question, but from what I'm getting from it. But I genuinely, I don't think that the really big snakes or the Asian water monitors, etc., etc. I really don't think they're the ones that are contributing to the negative outlook on the hobby. I think it's the bread and butter.
Royals,
Oh, 100%. Royal
the
Pythons.
Royals and Rags. That's the negative optics.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what to coin a phrase you said once, my socks have got better welfare.
Well, I used to keep my socks in a 30. It was like a 3x2 square like drawer. My still is my sock drawer. 'Cause it's like 3x2, and that's a bigger square space than 4 space than a lot of the drawers and racks get. So I was like, my socks generally have more space.
But yeah, I think I definitely agree with you that it's the royal pythons that are giving the hobby in general like the bad optics, 100%.
It'll sort itself. It'll sort itself. I mean, there's people that are like making it their entire existence to sort it, so it's their problem, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. But yeah, right. Anyway, on that bombshell, we've answered those questions. So thank you to everybody that submitted them. There are some that we've not been able to cover or get through, but I'm sure we'll probably do it on the next one. Thank you very much for Liam for joining me. He wasn't going to; it was a last minute thing. I don't see you that often, so and we only really talk on the phone. So I like to see you, but you do need a shave.
That's just rude.
And that's all from us here at Exotics of the World TV. So thank you very much to Liam for helping me out with this. It's nice to see him. I don't really get to see him that often. He lives all the way down south, and I'm a little bit more up north. It takes around about 5.5 hours to get to each other. So, it's always nice to see him on camera. But yes, anyway, that's been me and Liam. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra, loves.